Now, in the United States, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the migrant whose wrongful deportation to El Salvador turned him into something of a symbol of President Trump's immigration policies, has now been detained again by US Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. He was returned to the US in June, only to now face human smuggling charges that his lawyers have described as preposterous and vindictive. US authorities have informed Kilmar Abrego Garcia that he may be deported to Uganda after his refusal to accept a plea deal in a pending criminal case. Well, Mr. Abrego Garcia's lawyer has been talking in the last hour, so let's take a listen.
Mr. Abrego Garcia has filed a new lawsuit in the Federal District Court for the District of Maryland, challenging his current confinement and challenging deportation to Uganda or to any other country unless and until he's had a fair trial as in an immigration court, as well as his full appeal rights. In 2019, Mr. Abrego Garcia had a full trial. It lasted over 2 days in this building behind me. And the result of that trial was that the judge entered an order that he could not be deported to El Salvador. That order was not even appealed by the government. If they want to deport him to any other country, they need to go through that exact same process. Unless and until they have gone through that process, they do not have the right to put him on an airplane. And that's what we're going to be asking the district court to ensure, that he is not put on any flight to any country whatsoever, whether it's Uganda, South Sudan, what have you, unless and until he has had a full and fair trial in an immigration court, as well as his full appeal rights.
Well, that was Mr. Abrego Garcia's lawyer speaking there. And I've also been talking to the CBS News correspondent, Camilo Montoya Galvez, who's in Baltimore, and told us why this is such a controversial case across the United States.
Well, after checking into this ICE field office behind me in Baltimore, Maryland, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was retaken into ICE custody and now is being processed for deportation yet again. This is, of course, the man who gained infamy back in March when he was deported by mistake to El Salvador and transferred to that notorious mega prison known as Secot. And for months, even though the Trump administration admitted it made a legal mistake in sending him there, it refused to bring him back to the U.S. He was only brought back to American soil in early June, but to face serious charges related to human smuggling. Now, he has been released from pretrial detention pending the start of those criminal trials starting next year. But that does not mean that his legal troubles are over. Immigration officials can still technically detain and deport Abrego Garcia because he entered the U.S. illegally back in 2011 and has an active deportation order. The open question now is whether immigration officials will try to deport him before that criminal trial starts in January or after.
Yeah, and Camila, we were just listening to his lawyer who was saying that he is being punished for exercising his constitutional rights to fight back against wrongful detention and wrongful deportation.
That has been the claim by the lawyers for months now, that Mr. Abrego Garcia is only being criminally prosecuted and targeted by immigration officials because he legally challenged that deportation to El Salvador back in March. Of course, in court, many judges have ruled in Kilmar Abrego Garcia's favor, but the Trump administration has maintained that even though his deportation to El Salvador was a mistake, this man is still a gang member, a human smuggler, and somebody who should not be in the country because he entered illegally. And so the administration is moving quickly to try to deport him to a third country. His lawyers have been informed that country could be the East African country of Uganda, but technically speaking, the administration has the ability to deport him to any other country in the world that is not El Salvador.
And just tell us a bit more about his case, because it's become almost a sort of test case, hasn't it, of these very hardline and controversial deportation policies by President Trump and the White House.
That's right. This case gained a lot of controversy because of the question of due process and whether the administration was moving too quickly, too aggressively in its mass deportation operation and trampling on the due process rights of migrants in the process. That is certainly what the lawyers for Abrego Garcia would argue, not just in court, but in the court of public opinion. The Trump administration is saying that they are trying to fix an illegal immigration crisis that was created under the Biden administration. But certainly this case has raised a lot of questions about due process and what sort of legal rights people who don't have documents in this country have on American soil. For now, we should wait and see what actually happens to Abrego Garcia. But for the time being, he remains in ICE detention, facing deportation to an unknown country.
That's CBS correspondent Camilo Montoya Galvez talking to me a little earlier. You're watching BBC News.